The value of our currencies and its link to silver is probably one of the most important things that you can understand if you want to start buying this wonderful shiny stuff. Today's video is a collection of my thoughts and opinions on our currencies, their link to silver, and how I can see silver playing a role going forward in this next turbulent decade. Hello everybody, Backyard Bullion here, and a warm welcome to you all joining us for a thought-provoking discussion about economies, currencies, and their relationship to silver. And my biggest fear for this next decade is the value of our currencies and the strength of our economies. 2020 has kicked the decade off with an unprecedented amount of spiraling debt in pounds, euros, dollars, yen. So many currencies and countries around the world have thrown cash at their citizens, at businesses, at economies to try and keep things going, to put money in people's pockets in dire need when jobs have gone, when jobs are at risk and businesses cannot operate, is of course a good thing. But ultimately, the economic fallout from that is yet to be fully revealed, and I can foresee currencies certainly inflating and certainly devaluing over time, which is why I buy silver, which is why I buy gold, and why I think that silver and gold will form a really important part of the next decade for us. Now, I am not a believer of massive hyperinflation of these big, powerful currencies. The big three that I'm talking about today are dollars, pounds, and euros. Now, these currencies will change in value. There is no doubt about that. They will fluctuate, they will go up, they will go down. We've seen a prime example of that with the pound. With Brexit happening a couple of years ago, the pound has lost significant amount of value against the euro and indeed against the dollar. That's the natural cycle of currencies. The hyperinflation of currencies to nothing like we've seen in countries like Zimbabwe and Venezuela, I personally cannot see that ever happening to these three currencies in my lifetime. I think there would have to be a complete and utter paradigm shift in government mentality and way that governments in these countries work for that to even be allowed to happen. Now, we can all sit here and have a fun debate and political arguments about whether or not governments would let those kind of things happen. I personally think that governments in these countries would not ever let the dollar collapse and just inflate away to nothing. There's too much at stake. The world almost needs the US dollar to sit there as its reserve currency. It has been the world's reserve currency for a very long time, and I personally cannot see the US government losing its top spot. You know, it's just not practical for the world, and I cannot see it happening. Now, a lot of you will say, well, there's often not a lot of choice when that kind of thing happens. If the currency is going to inflate away to nothing, then you need to be prepared. You need to have the silver because it's coming. I've heard that argument so many times. I remember when I was in Seattle on a holiday, I was backpacking in Seattle in youth hostels back in 2005, and I remember coming across people saying, the collapse is coming, the dollar's going to collapse any day now. Now, of course, they were potentially a little bit right with the 2008 crisis happening, but the dollar didn't collapse away to nothing. The dollar did not inflate away to nothing, and life kind of carried on as usual to a certain degree. Yes, there was significant downturns, and that was the natural cycle of things. I think people have got to always remember that markets go up, markets go down, currencies go up, currencies go down, but the big players in these markets, they heavily control them. And that goes the same for currencies. The value of our currencies will change, they will go up, they will go down, and a lot of money will be made in the process. That is part of what currencies are for. Money makes money, and that should not be forgotten. So how does silver all factor in to this for me? A very interesting concept that I heard quite early on in my stacking journey, my stacking adventure, was that an ounce of silver, regardless of the price that you paid for it in dollars and pounds and euros, is still worth an ounce of silver. And you've got to look at it like that. If you are trying to protect yourself, protect your family, protect your wealth with precious metals, you've got to understand that they are intrinsically linked to values of currencies. And currencies are intrinsically linked to the value of goods. And if you have inflation, if you have currencies losing value, you need more of them to buy those goods. That means that you're going to get the same amount of silver to goods. And that's the thing that makes a lot of sense to me. If you have silver, it is locking the value of that wealth up so that your ounce of silver that's worth $20 today, you can cash it in, you can get $20, you can buy $20 worth of stuff. If in 10 years' time the dollar has inflated to a point where it's $50 for your ounce of silver, there is a very good chance that that $50 that you will exchange for your ounce of silver will buy you the same $20 worth of stuff that happened 10 years ago. The crux of silver comes where there is an intermediary period where silver is up, but the value of goods to dollars is still relatively low. That is where you can cash out and you can make money. You can make additional fiat currency to have, to keep, to sustain yourself, even to live off as an income. That is, in my opinion, where silver shines more so, I think, than gold, because gold is much more stable. Silver is much more volatile. It goes up, it goes down a lot more. And you have these opportunities that you can look to cash out at particular times and look to actually cash in on some profits. Now, all of that is, of course, dependent on silver never shooting the moon. And for silver to shoot the moon, by the way, we do need to have one of our currencies, one of our big three, completely collapse. And a lot of arguments are said that, in fact, it would never even get to shoot the moon if it was not the dollar that collapsed. If the pound collapsed, for example, it would shoot the moon in pounds, but it wouldn't for you guys over in the US in dollars. So it is all relevant to your home individual currencies for sure. And for the dollar to collapse, I just cannot see that happening. It is not something that is on my radar. Now, that's going to be counter argument to a lot of people that stack silver specifically for that event. And this year, this 2020, has certainly seen a lot more people getting into silver and gold because of the potential for silver and gold to go significantly higher. I think you just need to have a bit of a pinch of salt with your silver and your gold, because this year has seen some real topsy-turvy predictions, real massive swings, and some unprecedented events which we have never seen the like of before. And silver and gold have most certainly helped a lot of people in terms of having protected assets, and in fact have helped people earn the money, because of course a lot of people's silver and gold that was purchased before everything that happened in 2020 has earned them quite a lot of equity, and potentially has released a lot of equity for those that were in trouble, that needed to sell some silver as silver prices went up, which is all good. But in terms of getting massively, massively wealthy from silver and gold, always have a pinch of salt with it, because it's not something that I can foresee. It is a wealth preservation tool, not a wealth generation tool. That is really important to remind you all of, and it's a message that I've tried to constantly talk about here on my channel over this last 3 or 4 years of making videos. It's just not something that I can foresee happening in terms of that huge, massive inflation of the dollar. Now, the role that I can see for silver in a situation like that is undeniable, and I do want to address that in the second part of this video. So what if I'm wrong? What if I am wrong? And I am going to be the first to admit that I was wrong in the situation where I am wrong. So if we do see some very, very hyperinflation movements for silver, for the dollar, which of course will have a knock-on effect to silver, what role will silver play? Well, as I said there, if you have your dollars and you've converted it to silver, you're going to protect the amount of dollars that you have now. So if you've got $1,000 right now, you will protect that $1,000 by buying silver in the event that the dollars in your bank account inflate away to nothing. Keeping your cash, keeping your dollars in your bank account is something that a lot of people obviously need to pay rent, to pay bills and so on. But at the same time, it's a risk, because those dollars will not be yielding you anything right now, interest rates being stupidly low, but they will also potentially inflate. Every year that you have those dollars sit in your bank account, they inflate away. It's quite staggering how fast that can happen, certainly in a normal economy, let alone one like we are seeing now. And I do personally think that we are going to see devaluations of currencies going forward. We have to. As I said, I think earlier in this video, one of the staggering facts is that 25% of all the dollars that are in existence today have been printed or created this year. That is a staggering statistic. And I cannot see that not having an effect on the value of the dollar. As I said, though, I don't think it will cause hyperinflation like we've seen in Venezuela and a complete collapse of the currency, but no doubt there will be a devaluation of the dollar to come. Now, to a certain extent, I feel like we've already seen that. It maybe hasn't followed through to the general price indexes of your everyday household goods. But for silver, I do think that that has already started, because earlier this year, when the crisis started hitting and lockdowns started coming into effect, we saw a massive collapse, pullback in the value of spot price silver, paper silver, down to monumental lows. I think it was like £9.50 an ounce here in the UK, about $12 an ounce, I think. But nobody for love nor money could get silver at that price. All of the dealers, all of the mints, all of the mines just stopped. They didn't sell. They couldn't sell, or they couldn't get hold of that material. And slowly, and then quite rapidly, silver grew and grew and grew. And we saw $28, $29 an ounce, I think, at one point. Now it's pulled back a little bit, but that pullback down to the levels we are now is, in my opinion, the new norm. So that is evidence to me that the dollars and the pounds that we have in our pockets have already inflated. And I think that new norm is that baseline. I cannot see, this is a line of resistance, I think, as chart watchers and analyzers would call it. There is no feasible way in my mind that silver will sustainably go much lower than it currently is. I think where we are right now is a sustainable low point. And for me, I can personally say that buying silver at these levels doesn't feel expensive. It feels more expensive than years gone by. But when we look at it like gold, for example, I remember buying gold 3 years ago when it was £900 an ounce. It's now £1,400 an ounce. I still buy gold now at these prices. I don't think it's a waste of money. I don't think that it's not a good deal. I think that having this metal, buying this stuff now is good, because even with the predicted bounce back in economies, the V-shaped returns or K-shaped returns, or whatever letter of the alphabet Sesame Street is bringing to us from government houses today, I don't know. But all of the recoveries will happen. There will be money in its droves to be made when economies fully open up again, whether it be the UK, the US, and the Eurozone. There will be plenty of new stimulus packages coming. There will be plenty of money pumped into the economies. But I cannot see us going back to a point in the past where the dollar, the pound, the euro were worth a certain amount. I think we've hit this new paradigm shift, this new level, and that is represented by the new prices of silver and gold that we are seeing. So for me, I cannot see them going lower, which leads me to say that now is a potentially good price and a good time to buy silver. Of course, for us in the UK, we have wonderful taxes to now factor in at the end of December. Brexit causes silver to become a questionable asset at the best of times for all of us. So could be just gold going forward. It could just be gold going forward for me, and that's not a massive problem. I've already shifted a significant portion of my sort of investment in metals to gold anyway, and all the silver that I have, all the silver that I've accumulated, will eventually be the fuel by which I buy more gold. That's how I work. That's how I've always sort of seen it. But in terms of the rest of the world, I cannot see silver being a bad price right now. That is my argument. Now, this is not financial advice. This is not me saying you should rush out and buy bucket loads of silver. Having responsibility, having financial responsibility within your own means, within your own budgets, to actually get the right amount that's right for you is important, because currency, fiat currency, is still the thing that rules the world. There is a reason why silver does not rule the world, because there is a very, very small proportion of the population around the world that knows about it, that invests in it, that buys it, that uses it, that barters with it. There's a load of people out there in this world that are ignorant to what is real, what is actual tangible value. We haven't even touched on the fact that in the US, for example, there is going to be a significant stimulus package in renewable energies, and renewable energies use silver in industry. Silver is an industrial metal primarily. It is not a monetary metal primarily. And the solar energy sector uses silver in its droves. That is going to fuel demand, and of course that will potentially fuel prices as well. Now, that doesn't mean that you're going to go out and you're going to sell directly to all the solar panel manufacturing factories. You're not going to ring up Solar Panels R Us and say, I've got 300 ounces of silver, what price can you give to me? It's just going to fuel the general demand on the market. And when you sell back to a big dealer, A lot of the time, if it's coins like this, which are just general bullion coins that have been sat on some random person's table and clinked and banged around and not in perfect condition, your bullion dealer are not going to sell these back out to the customers. Not most of them anyway. They might have a bargain bin, spot price bargain bin. But for them, that's a gamble. For them, the most secure way of doing it is to sell this stuff back to a refinery to remelt down into modern bullion, or to send off to these companies that use it in industry. So lots of interesting times ahead, I guess, is what I'm trying to say, and the general theme of today's video. There is a lot still to come in this next year. 2021 is going to be a year, I think, which will be on par with 2020, certainly for the first 6 months. We've of course got news on the vaccine, which, you know, is going to radicalize how we live our lives, certainly how we've been living our lives in 2020. I think we're going to see some semblance of normality coming at some point in 2021. How soon that will come, I don't know. Will it be soon enough to potentially get economies back on track? Will it be soon enough to stimulate business, to create jobs, to create money, to get back into the way that we used to work? I don't know. Or is it good that we have this eye-opening event that has really given a lot of people worry for this stuff, the dollar, for the pound? Are we going to live differently? Are governments going to change the way they work, the way they spend, the way they look at money? I don't think so. The way that they've thrown cash at these crises that we've seen come up this year, it's just an example again of how we just add an extra zero on the back end of our debt. And that is how it works. And that is why I can never see the dollar, the pound, the euro, even any of the big Western world economy currencies inflating away to nothing. Still doesn't mean there's not a place for silver and gold. Very much I do think that there is, but as part of a balanced portfolio. So that's my thoughts. Again, just a reminder, this is not a financial advice video. It's meant for entertainment. And if you have been entertained and you'd like to share your thoughts and opinions, then please do comment down below. Even if you disagree with everything that I've said, I want to hear from you. All I ask is that you be respectful of mine and other people's opinions. If you have enjoyed this video, please put a thumbs up on it and share it around on your social media. It really does help everything that we do here on our YouTube channel. We are nearing 30,000 subscribers, and if we hit 30,000 before the end of the year, which we are predicted to do so by Social Blade, but it's going to be very, very close, then we will be throwing a big old chunky giveaway, and I'm talking big giveaway. We're going to have many, many little prizes and a couple of really giant prizes. So make sure that you hit that subscribe button if you've not already done so. If you enjoyed this video, there's a good chance that you'll like videos from me in the future, because I am a rambler. I like sitting here and talking about silver on YouTube. That is what I do. And for those who have watched to this point, you'll know what I'm talking about. So hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, comment down below. Otherwise, have a very safe, healthy rest of your week, and we'll see you on the next one. As always, please make sure that you like, share, comment, and subscribe for more.